You're not on. You're now on with Real Talk with DC. I'm coming to you today on May 30th. This is a time where in our city and in cities all over the country, people are standing up and letting their voices be heard in protest for the acknowledgement of the wrongful killing by 4 police officers of George Floyd. And this is really a sad time in our society, again, that we are repeating this narrative over and over again, that officers have no fear of reprisal, no fear of punishment, and feel as though they can treat black men and black women any kind of way, kill them indiscriminately, use overt force on us, and cause or maim or even kill us, and they have no regard for it. They feel like they're justified. And I'm sickened as a citizen of the United States and as a person who supports police officers, the ones that are out there who serve and protect, who are first responders and who help the community out in many ways. I'm an advocate for police officers in many cases, but I'm also just as outspoken when I see something that is abhorrently wrong. And in this case, what we witnessed on the videos that are out there, it is a tragedy, to say the least, of how this black man was treated. We don't know all the facts, of course. We don't know everything that happened, but we can clearly see that excessive force was used. The man was pleading for his life, and the officer had no regard for his life, sitting on his neck, had his knee on his neck the whole time as this guy is just crying out and saying, I'm going to cooperate. I can't breathe. I can't breathe, and crying out. And this officer just sat on his neck until he was no longer responsive. No regard for human life. Had it not been captured on camera, it would be like so many other incidents that there is no recording for, that is just as bad, if not worse. This one just happened to be caught on camera, just like Mike Brown, just like Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was not caught on camera. Mike Brown was not caught on camera, but there were enough people who stood up and said something about what happened that something was at least attempted to be done. But in both cases, we still didn't get any justice. And so this is another issue, another repeat of history again, and people are just fed up. And the powers that be, the people of different belief, different color, of influence, who may believe that they're above the law, or they know so many people that are in positions of influence that they can get away with anything. It's time out. They don't learn their lesson to know that if you keep on throwing fuel on a fire, it is eventually going to burn, and it's going to burn uncontrollably. And then it's too late to say, ooh, let's try to contain it. This is borderline civil war that they are pushing black people and supporters of what they saw was wrong. So other people of color and people that are not of color who can clearly see that this event was wrong, they're standing up and making a stand against racism. And like I said, the whole situation is sad. It's just sad. I think about, driving down the street, and if a police car pulls up behind my car, I instantly tense up and say, I wonder if they're just going to stop me for no reason at all. I wonder if the police officer is having a bad day today and he's going to talk to me in a way that's just disrespectful. And how am I going to handle that situation? I wonder how it is if my son or my daughter is driving their car and maybe does something or maybe doesn't do anything but gets pulled over. What is the potential for them making it out of that situation without a scratch? You know, having someone to treat them with dignity and respect so that they can treat them with dignity and respect and to get through whatever the encounter is unscathed. What is the possibility for that? And every time we see a black man killed for whatever reason or justification they have, when he's pleading for his life, 4 officers on him, 3 officers on him and 1 watching, and people around, it's saddening and it's sickening. So here's my observation. You have people all over the country that are just tired and fed up. They've been in the house. You know, the Mike Brown incident happened about 5 years ago. It made national news. People knew about this all over the world. And it was a little city in St. Louis called Ferguson. And they've made documentaries on it. People have talked about it. People have risen in the ranks of political stature because of what they did during that time in support of the Ferguson, the city of Ferguson and the citizens in Ferguson and rebuilding and all of those things. People have risen up in political ranks and gained influence and had opportunities to speak about and profit off of the event after the fact, and then left. Many of them left and moved on to do other things. And the city of Ferguson, not in the state that it was at the time, but not much better off than what it was then. A lot of programs are in place to try to make things better. They're still in the process 5 to 6 years later in rebuilding Ferguson and trying to get support in that area. But it was all because of the act of police officers and the sense that no justice was done in that circumstance. Ferguson was after Trayvon Martin, which was the same situation. A young man wearing a hoodie, walking down the street, got shot by a citizen, and the law did nothing about it. The citizen was a white man, shot him, killed him, felt justified in doing so, got little to no punishment, and went on about his life. It's time out. We're tired of just allowing people to treat us any kind of way and to abuse us, to kill us, and we not say anything about it, and people are fed up. And so you've kicked this hornet's nest many, many times, and you know, the hornets stayed in its nest, but now you've let the hornet's nest out. And I fear that they're going to burn down the city of Minneapolis because they are just over the top tired. They've seen this play out in St. Louis. They've seen it play out in Florida. They've seen it play out in other places, and they already anticipate what the outcome is going to be. They see how slow prosecutors are to arrest these men and put them behind bars, which would at least calm the situation down to an extent. Now you've let it linger so long, they fear that the same thing is going to happen. You follow the same pattern of things that have gone on before, and people are seeing it, and they're not buying the hope that they're going to get justice eventually. They're not buying the hope that this time it's going to turn out different. No, they're saying, I'm going to take control and I'm going to make something happen, because obviously there's nobody that's going to take up for us, our citizens. There's no one who's going to take up for the fallen. There's nobody who's going to take up for and speak out and say that this is just wrong in the hopes of curtailing this behavior for our future generations. And it's sad. It is very, very sad and discouraging that our youth have to grow up in a land like this, that we all have to fear whenever approached by an officer of the opposite color of us, a white officer or a officer of a heritage that is other than African American, Black, Negro, or whatever you want to call us. It's a shame that we have to fear what the outcome is going to be, that we have to read the officer to make sure that he's not having a bad day and he's not going to take it out on us, that we have to subject ourselves to our rights being taken away for fear, if we stand up or speak up for our rights, that we may very well lose our lives. There's too many issues out there. There's too many times that this has happened. And so what I see happening in the community is people are fed up. And when people are fed up, you can't rationalize with them. And then you have the people that legitimately want to make a difference. And then you have the bandwagoners that say, oh, they about to tear up something, so I'm gonna join in and I'm gonna be destructive. They're protesting, and so I have an issue with the police officers, so I'm gonna get out front and I dare them to touch me. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to shoot. I'm ready to kill. And they're mixed in with the people who are trying to have a voice to have this man's rights heard and to let the powers that be know that this is just unacceptable. Showing solidarity in cities all over the country where people are protesting what happened. Now every police officer is on guard for what's going on. Now every police officer has a reason to fear because a group of officers did something. Now it puts a bullseye on every officer's back. Now they have to be extra cautious when they're approaching cars and doing their job normally. And this makes it worse for the ones that may be good officers that have an intent to do something that's beneficial for us. It's just sad that we have to be in this state of affairs. I would say this: we need to stand up. We need to speak up. I'm not saying that all protests need to be peaceful, but we need to have more control over ourselves than they have over themselves so that we can have ourselves be heard. But at this point, I am like you, not encouraged that justice will be served doing things the right way. I don't encourage by any means violence, destruction, because the things that are being destroyed impacts our community greater than it impacts theirs. And so I'm saying that to say we need to be wise. We need to educate ourselves. We need to get involved in processes and put pressure in the law against the people who are doing things wrong and continue to speak out. Even after this is over, we need to continue to speak out and continue to be a voice so that it is not a lull where people feel like things have calmed down and they now have the ability. There's no eye watching over them. No, there's an eye watching over you all the time. I think we need to be wise, and I think we need to speak out and be articulate so that our expression of things that are wrong can be heard, can be put out in a way where people can receive it and accept it. And by all means that we protect ourselves, our community, and speak up for those that are less fortunate than us. This is Real Talk with DC. I thank you for your time. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Until then, God bless and peace.